Hey, thanks for tuning back in to the Erskine Roundtable. My name is Grayson Reams. I'm the social media coordinator at Erskine in the Marketing and Communications office. And today we are talking about the annual fund at Erskine College. And I've got with me two awesome guests. If you guys will introduce yourselves, that'd be great.
Thank you, Grayson. Dr. Steve Adamson, president of Erskine College.
Awesome.
Good morning, Grayson. I'm Paul Bell, the vice president for advancement and alumni relations.
Awesome, guys. So today we're talking about the annual fund at Erskine, which is not an uncommon thing for nonprofits like ourselves. Let's just first flesh out what an annual fund is and what particularly it is at Erskine.
Yeah, any college depends quite heavily on annual funds to augment and to support the basic operations of that fiscal year. So you have student tuition funds, but there's so much more that you need annual funds to help cover: the daily, programmatic, operational, administrative, that whole support structure. You cannot actually completely depend on student revenue, student tuition, student fees for your entire operations. Otherwise, higher education would be unaffordable. And so it is necessary to be able to pay the faculty, to have your maintenance staff, to be able to maintain your facilities and actually program and administer everything that you do as a college. The annual fund is absolutely essential.
You want to add anything to that, Paul?
Very little. So I think Dr. Eddie did a great job explaining what it is. I spoke with some students a few years ago and explained what the annual fund was for them. And for a student, it means that it's lowering the cost that they would otherwise have to pay. And in that particular year, the annual fund had really amounted to about a $3,000 scholarship per student in the undergraduate program at Erskine. That's significant.
Yeah.
If I might add what Paul Bell was saying, if you think of it in terms of, suppose you have money in an endowment for student scholarships, but if you have no annual fund, you have nothing by which your finance division and your enrollment and your financial aid and your registrar can actually operate and gain access to those funds. So in some sense, it's endowment money is locked up as resources, but unless you have annual funds, you have nothing by which you could administer and allocate and manage the programs.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that you hit on students. That's what I was going to kind of jump to next, because I'm an alum. I know that I now working at Erskine, I understand that I benefited from the annual fund at some point throughout college. What do you think is the importance of a student really knowing that? Like you said, you spoke to students. What's the importance of them really understanding the annual fund and what comes from people that are giving generously to Erskine?
Well, one of the things I think about when I'm thinking about the annual fund and what it does for students and whether I'm going to give or what I'm going to give to it is the verse in the Bible that says, "What do you have that you haven't been given?" And every student who has ever come to Erskine and ever will come to Erskine is benefiting from the gifts that other people gave to make that experience available to them. In this life, they will meet hardly any of those people who gave. They won't even know who they are. But because someone else has given so that I could go, so that you could go, and the students who are here now, I think that it's very important that a student understands that these buildings didn't just materialize. Their professors have to buy groceries. Someone has to pay the faculty. The sports programs they have are underwritten by someone. And yes, they and their parents are paying a portion of that, but they would have to pay a much greater price if people hadn't been undergirding it with their own gifts.
Do you have anything, right?
There's a part of, as what Paul was saying, that in some respects you can almost look at it as tithing. There is the value that Erskine has given the student throughout their entire life, that they look back on and see the benefit that they have from their education and where they are in their life. And it is that giving back, but not just giving back one time, but it's giving back annually. It's part of supporting the basic part of the entire institution.
Well, speaking about giving back annually, let's talk about Day of Giving, because that's something, again, not unique to Erskine, but something that we take very seriously, and that's a big part of that annual fund. Paul, do you want to start and just kind of give us the 2-second pitch for Day of Giving, what it is?
Day of Giving is a one-day intensive giving campaign. It's driven by social media, but it's not completely social media. If someone wants to bring a check into the office, they can do that, but it's crowdfunding. And we are trying to build enthusiasm and a network of people so that if you give, then you can go online and challenge your friends who went to Erskine to follow your lead. And so it's a major push. It's toward the end of our fiscal year, and it's an exciting day. You've worked with it.
Absolutely.
For this will be your third year, I think, working with it. This will be our 5th annual Day of Giving. The first year, we didn't know what sort of goal to set. We raised about $90,000, and it has gone up every year since then and has exceeded our expectations. We're hoping that's going to happen again this year.
Yeah, and that speaks to the generosity of the alumni base too. That set a goal and it's surpassed every year. I don't know that any of us around this table or anybody at the school can take a ton of credit for that. It's the awesome alums.
It is. It's the alum and their involvement. Obviously, raising funds for the annual fund happens throughout the entire year, but there is something special about focusing time and attention and enthusiasm around a specific event and around a specific day that gets that level of interest and really brings people together.
Absolutely. And I'd say, me and as well, that people are going to see some stuff coming up with like students talking about Day of Giving. I'd say to look out for that, just to address you guys, look out for those videos coming and mark April 27th on your calendars. This has been awesome. This has been kind of a quick one, but I think we've hit a lot of things. Is there anything else, if you guys were to make a pitch to an alum or maybe somebody that is just now learning about Erskine, but wants to support Christ's mission in the higher education field, what would the pitch be for?
Paul, I'll let you go first.
Well, as a believer, how can you turn down the opportunity to participate in ministry? We're not called to give to every ministry that's out there, but if there's a ministry like Erskine that has affected your own life in a positive way, what better way to keep that ministry going and allow that opportunity for someone else? I had a man to tell me last week, he said, it took me 66 years to realize what Erskine has done for me. But now that he is 66 years old and has realized that, he is giving and he's encouraging other people to give. And his whole premise is, I see that the success I've had in my life is largely due to Erskine, and I want to make that available to other people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And, Erskine standing on the idea of influencing society for God's glory. This is a ministry, and there is no better way to support a ministry than to be a partner. And being a partner in a ministry means being there every year, not just a one-time gift, but it's every year, every day. It's being involved and supporting that ministry. And so that's what I would encourage people to really think about, getting involved and supporting Erskine College, the annual fund, and the annual Day of Giving.
Awesome. So another question, just kind of to direct your way, and then Paul, you can answer it afterwards. Dr. You've been here for just a little bit over a year. What is the most encouraging thing or just the thing that you like the most about Erskine so far?
To me, that's obvious. Community, family. That's something you're going to hear a lot of small private colleges talk about, and they'll say that you're a name, not a number. But that's really true here at Erskine. From the reality of the way the college is integrated with the town, the number of administrators, faculty, staff, coaches who live not just in the town, but maybe live either across the street or in homes that are integrated into the campus. There's an opportunity for students to really become immersed into the lives of people who are reflecting Christ every single day, and not just what happens in the classroom. That's without question something that Erskine has, which is unique, which is rare and precious, and is probably difficult to find almost anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
Very similar. I got to experience that as a student myself, and I am seeing that played out in my own son's life. He's a second-year student at Erskine, and just the pouring into that happens here, professors, faculty, coaches pouring into the lives of young people, and then I see those young people pouring into the lives of others. And I told a group of alumni over the weekend, when you go back and you read Dr. Ware's history book of Erskine, that essence of Erskine that was here in the 1830s is still here in 2023. The buildings have changed, the faces have changed. But when I read that book and I see examples of how people just gave themselves for students in ministry, and then I look around me at what is happening here today, the same thing is, it's never stopped. Erskine's been through ups and downs and battles, inward and outward, but what has happened for the students here has never, ever changed. And yeah, there's a great classroom education here. The academic preparation is wonderful. But I think that if that's all we offered, then we'd be a pretty dry environment and people really wouldn't flourish. But when you add that component into it of professors and faculty actually loving the students they teach, then that's what I like most about Erskine, and I think that's what is most impactful.
So I said that was the last thing. I'm going to throw one more question at y'all because something that you said made me think of it. So you talk about being a partner every single day. Let's talk real fast and maybe give the people something that they can be in prayer for. You know, Day of Giving is definitely a monetary day, and annual fund is something monetary that helps us run the college day to day. But how can people be in prayer for Day of Giving specifically and just, Erskine College, throughout the next year?
Well, I'll let Paul talk about the annual fund, but prayers every day are welcome and they're coveted by the students because they're learning and growing and experiencing what it means to be an adult who is living out their faith every day. And they're in class, and some of them are in extracurricular activities, whether that's sport or debate or literary societies. And they're beginning to come to grips with what it means to manage their time and how to maneuver that transition from a young person to an adult. And they need prayers every day. And we would encourage people to pray for the students, that they stay strong, that they recognize their need for our risen Lord, and that they have that courage to meet every day with the strength that has and with their faith.
Absolutely. Yeah. Amen to that. And I think to pray for the students, but pray for the faculty and the staff. Pray for Dr. Adamson. We have no idea all the things that he has to deal with in a day's time and the wisdom that takes. And we need to be supporting him in that way. And yes, I pray about the annual fund all the time because all the resources that we're going to have come from the Lord. He knows what our needs are. He knows how they're going to meet them. But put that in your prayers as well, that he will continue to provide. He's done that since 1837 when the seminary was started, and feel certain he's going to keep on doing that. My dream would be that Erskine would still be here, viable and active and in ministry on the day that Christ returns. And if the Lord wants that, he's going to provide those resources and the people to make it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here again. This was a joy, and it was very fun to talk about all this stuff. Hopefully we informed some of the audience, on the annual fund, day of giving, and just, the impact that, I know we at this table and we at Erskine College feel like Erskine is definitely having on students' lives. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. We hope to see you again. If you're interested in learning more about Erskine College, please visit our website at www.erskine.edu. Thank you.